In the heart of ancient lands, where time seems to have stopped between the cliffs and vast valleys, lies some of the most enigmatic places on our planet. Welcome to the world of forgotten mysteries, where the foot of a modern man rarely treads. Imagine this. You stand before colossal stone statues, their faces turned to the sky, silent for millennia. Who created these monuments? What tools did the ancient masters use to carve the hard stone with such precision? Scattered across the mountainsides are mysterious petroglyphs, messages from the depths of time, still not fully deciphered. Local residents whisper about sacred springs, whose waters heal diseases, and about caves where, according to legend, the spirits of ancestors dwell. Scientists come here seeking rational explanations, but leave with even more questions. Perhaps these places are indeed portals to other dimensions, as ancient legends claim, or are they the legacy of a long-lost, highly advanced civilization? Prepare to immerse yourself in a world where reality intertwines with mysticism and scientific facts coexist with unexplained phenomena. These mysterious places can be found all over the world, like links in a single mysterious chain. But there are some among them that even the most skeptical researchers cannot ignore. In the heart of the Australian continent, where the scorching air shimmers over endless desert expanses, there stands a monolith whose grandeur makes the heart beat faster. Uluru, the sacred mountain of the Aborigines. Imagine this, a massive stone block, 348 meters tall, rising from nowhere in the middle of a plain, as if some powerful being had simply placed it there. But the most astonishing thing is not the size of Uluru, but its ability to change color. At dawn, it turns a soft pink. At midday, it blazes fiery red. And at sunset, it becomes a deep crimson, as if absorbing the blood of the departing day. The Pitjantjatjara tribes believe that Uluru is not just a rock, but a living entity, preserving the memory of the dreamtime when the spirits of the ancestors created the world. Each crack and outcrop on its surface is a part of sacred history, inscribed in stone. Archaeologists have discovered cave paintings in Uluru's caves dating back more than 10,000 years. But who knows how many more secrets are hidden in the depths of this monolith? Scientists attribute Uluru's unusual color to the high iron content in the rock. But how to explain the strange acoustic effects around the mountain? Sounds here spread in a peculiar way, creating an illusion of whispers coming from the depths of time. Researchers who spent a night at the foot of Uluru report inexplicable sounds, as if someone invisible were moving in the darkness, singing ancient melodies. The local Aborigines warn, it is forbidden to take even a small pebble from Uluru. It will bring a curse. And strangely, every year hundreds of tourists send back stones by mail, accompanied by letters telling of misfortunes that befell them after they violated this prohibition. Researchers from the University of Sydney have recorded unusual electromagnetic anomalies around Uluru, but their nature remains unexplained. There is a theory that Uluru is just the visible part of a giant meteorite that fell on Earth millions of years ago. Other researchers suggest that there may be cavities, like chambers, inside the rock, created by an ancient civilization for unknown purposes. The local elders tell of secret passages inside Uluru leading to the underworld, where the spirits of the ancestors dwell. No European has been allowed into these sacred places. What lies behind these legends? Real cave systems or mythological beliefs? And why do compasses malfunction when approaching certain areas of Uluru? Some paranormal researchers claim that Uluru is an energy portal connecting our world with other dimensions. Skeptics laugh at such suggestions, but how to explain the numerous reports of strange light phenomena observed over the mountain on moonless nights? The mystery of Uluru remains unsolved, as if nature itself created this place to remind us. Despite all the achievements of modern science, we still know very little about the world in which we live. And who knows what other riddles are hidden in the ancient lands of our planet? But Uluru is just one of many mysteries that ancient Australia holds. A few hundred kilometers to the north, where wet tropical forests give way to desert plains, lies Kakadu National Park's sacred land that preserves one of the oldest and most mysterious rock art galleries on our planet. Imagine sheer red sandstone cliffs, adorned with thousands of images created over tens of thousands of years. Archaeologists claim that some of these drawings are over 40,000 years old, making them the oldest known examples of human art on Earth. But what is truly captivating is not just the age of these images, but their remarkable detail and enigmatic symbolism. Figures known as mimi, semi-transparent ancestral spirits, depicted with incredible grace and dynamism, as if floating in the air. The local Aborigines of the Bininj and Mungai tribes tell stories of the mimi being the first inhabitants of these lands, long before humans arrived. They were so light and delicate that they feared the windy weather, fearing being carried away by gusts. But how to explain the extraordinary skill of these ancient images? What tools did Paleolithic artists use to create such delicate lines? Even more mysterious are the images of the Wandjina enigmatic figures with large eyes and halo-like heads, reminiscent of modern UFO descriptions. The Aborigines believed that the Wandjina are the creators of the world, who came from the stars during the dream time. They brought knowledge, laws, and culture, and then transformed into rock paintings to forever watch over their creations. Remarkably, many Wandjina images were updated from generation to generation, as a ritual confirmation of the connection with ancestors. When the colors faded, shamans of the tribe restored the drawings, following ancient traditions. This tradition was broken only with the arrival of Europeans. What is even more mysterious, some rock art galleries in Kakadu contain images of animals that have been extinct for thousands of years, including the Tasmanian tiger and the giant flying fox. How could ancient artists depict the anatomical details of these creatures with such accuracy? Were these knowledge passed down orally over tens of thousands of years? Or, as some paranormal researchers suggest, did the Aborigines have the ability to see the past during ritual trances? In remote Kimberley regions, strange images known as Bradshaw or Guion were found figures of people in complex headdresses and with unusual objects in their hands, reminiscent of technological artifacts. The age of these images is over 17,000 years, but what is astonishing, modern Aborigines deny any connection with the creators of these drawings, claiming that they were painted by not people, but birds, who dipped their beaks in ochre. Who were these mysterious artists with such perfect technique? And why does their art so drastically differ from later Aboriginal styles? Some researchers propose a bold hypothesis about the existence of an unknown advanced civilization that inhabited Australia before the arrival of modern Aborigines. Others suggest possible contacts with Southeast Asian or South American seafarers. But if such contacts did occur, why are there no other archaeological evidence of them? Particularly mysterious are the images of the wrong enigmatic figures with 6 fingers on their hands and feet, in strange clothing resembling spacesuits. Who did the ancient artists depict? Mutants? Aliens? Or are these symbolic images, the meaning of which is lost in the depths of time? And why are many rock art galleries located in places with unusual acoustics, where even a whisper creates a multiple echo? Is this a coincidence, or did ancient artists intentionally choose such places for their sacred images, creating natural amphitheaters for ritual ceremonies? Local elders tell stories that on certain days of the year, when the position of the sun and moon align in a special way, some rock paintings begin to glow from within, and strange sounds resembling singing in an unknown language can be heard from the depths of the cliffs. Scientists are skeptical of such stories, But recent research has shown that some pigments used by ancient artists do indeed possess unusual luminescent properties under certain lighting. The mystery of the ancient rock art galleries of Australia remains unsolved, like the voices of ancestors inscribed in stone, preserving a message that we are not yet able to fully decipher. And who knows what other amazing discoveries await researchers in the impenetrable jungles and desert plateaus of this ancient continent. However, not only the rock paintings of ancient Australia hold secrets. In several hundred kilometers to the west, where the merciless sun scorches the earth and the wind whispers ancient legends, there stand the mysterious stone pillars of Carajo, peculiar formations, as if frozen in eternity, guarding this mysterious land. Imagine hundreds of limestone columns, up to 5 meters high, scattered across the desolate landscape, like an army of petrified warriors. In the rays of the setting sun, these stone figures cast long shadows, creating fantastical patterns on the scorched earth. The local aborigines of the Noongar tribe have avoided these places for centuries, considering them sacred and dangerous at the same time. According to their ancient beliefs, the stone pillars of Carajo are not just whimsical creations of nature, but petrified ancestors, punished for violating sacred laws. The elders tell of the dream time when the world was just forming, a group of young warriors dared to break the taboo and enter the forbidden spiritual territory. As punishment, the Great Spirit, Biam, transformed them into stone, condemning them to stand under the scorching sun forever, watching the world of the living, but never able to return to their tribe. Another legend speaks of an ancient battle between two warring tribes, when the intervention of spirits turned the warriors of both sides into stone pillars to end the senseless bloodshed. Remarkably, many of these pillars indeed resemble human figures. Here is a stone silhouette of a warrior with a spear, and next to it, as if a mother, cradling a child to her chest. Some formations have such expressive features that it seems as if a skilled sculptor had carved them from a monolithic rock. But what natural process could create such anthropomorphic figures? Geologists explain the formation of the Carajo pillars as the result of weathering and erosion of limestone deposits formed from the remains of marine organisms millions of years ago, when this territory was the bottom of an ancient ocean. But why did erosion create such symmetrical, almost artificially looking forms? Some researchers note a strange peculiarity. Many pillars are arranged in a certain order, forming lines and geometric figures visible only from a bird's-eye view. Is this a coincidence or a deliberate arrangement? Even more mysterious is the acoustic phenomenon observed among the Carajo pillars. On certain days of the year, especially during the equinoxes, the wind passing between the stone columns creates a low, vibrating sound, reminiscent of rhythmic singing in an unknown language. Local residents claim that this is the voice of petrified ancestors trying to convey ancient knowledge to those who can hear it. Acousticians who have studied this phenomenon acknowledge that the arrangement of the pillars indeed creates unusual sound effects, but the scientific explanation of this phenomenon remains incomplete. In the 19th century, European researchers who first encountered this natural wonder were so amazed that some of them seriously suggested an artificial origin of the pillars. In the diaries of the first expeditions, one can find references to ruins of an unknown ancient temple, or a stone forest created by the hands of a long-lost people. Although modern science rejects the version of the artificial origin of the Carajo pillars, some aspects of this natural phenomenon continue to puzzle scientists. For example, why are there strange metal inclusions in some pillars, not typical of the surrounding rocks? Where did the traces of processed iron and copper appear in the limestone formations? Some researchers of paranormal phenomena suggest that the Carajo pillars could have served as some kind of energy antennas, installed by an ancient, highly developed civilization for communication or energy transmission. Others suggest that the unusual shape of the pillars could be the result of the interaction of limestone deposits with an unknown form of radiation or an anomalous magnetic field. What is even more astonishing, some of the pillars contain strange symbols and lines, reminiscent of primitive writing or astronomical signs. Are these markings the result of natural erosion, or were they made by human hands thousands of years ago? And if these are indeed ancient writings, who created them, and what message were they trying to convey to future generations? Modern scanning technologies have allowed the discovery that under the surface of the Earth around the Karajo pillars, there exists a complex system of underground cavities and tunnels, some of which have almost ideal geometric shapes. Natural formation or man-made underground structures? This question remains open, as do many other mysteries of this enigmatic place. The Karajo pillars continue to keep their secrets, like silent witnesses to ancient history that we are not yet able to fully decipher. And who knows what other secrets this ancient continent, whose history spans tens of thousands of years, still hides, most of which remains beyond our understanding. While the poles of Karaharo silently preserve their secrets under the scorching sun of Western Australia, on the other end of the continent, in the misty blue haze of the Great Dividing Range, another mystery of the ancient continent lies hidden: the mysterious Burra Range, lost in the vast expanses of the Blue Mountains. This mystical landscape, where massive sandstone cliffs, like giant cathedrals, tower over ancient eucalyptus forests, and deep gorges filled with a blue haze of evaporating essential oils create the illusion of floating mountains, has long been considered a sacred place by the Aboriginal tribe of the Darug. Here, where time seems to flow differently, and the boundary between the world of humans and spirits becomes almost indistinguishable, according to ancient beliefs, mysterious creatures known as Yowie, the Australian equivalent of the Yeti, dwell. Imagine tall, hairy humanoids with piercing eyes that glow in the dark, capable of dissolving into the forest like morning mist under the rising sun. The elders of the Darug tribe say that Yowies are not just legendary beings, but guardians of ancient knowledge and keepers of sacred places. They claim that these creatures lived in the mountains long before humans arrived, and remembered times when the continent had a completely different appearance. In rock paintings older than 10,000 years, one can see depictions of tall, hairy beings alongside human figures, evidence that the legends of the Yowie go back to the very depths of time. What is remarkable is that reports of encounters with these mysterious creatures continue to this day. Tourists who have ventured into the remote corners of the Burra Range speak of strange sounds reminiscent of inhuman cries, an inexplicable feeling of being observed, and glimpses of tall shadows disappearing behind trees. Skeptics, of course, explain these testimonies as a result of imagination fueled by local legends or encounters with large marsupials such as kangaroos or wombats. But how to explain the discovery of enormous footprints, more than 1.5 times larger than a human footprint, found in the most inaccessible areas of the Blue Mountains? Or the strange structures made of branches and stones, too complex to be created by animals, found in places where people rarely venture? Even more mysterious is the phenomenon of the so-called singing rocks of the Burra Range, huge sandstone monoliths that at certain times, especially at dawn and dusk, emit long, melodious sounds reminiscent of human singing in an unknown language. Acoustic research has shown that the shape of these rocks indeed enhances and modulates the sounds of the wind. But why do these sounds form almost meaningful melodic sequences, reminiscent of ancient rituals? Aboriginals believe that these are the voices of ancestors, transmitting messages from the dream time, the mythical time of world creation. According to their beliefs, the rocks of the Burra Range are not just geological formations, but petrified bodies of ancient spirit creators, and the Yowies are their living messengers, Observing the world of humans. In the 19th century, European researchers who studied this area were not only amazed by its natural beauty, but also by strange anomalies. Compasses often malfunctioned, clocks started running slower or faster, and some parts of the mountains seemed to disappear from view, becoming visible only from certain angles and under specific lighting. One of the first European researchers in this area, naturalist Alfred Russel Wallace, wrote in his diary, "These mountains have a strange ability to alter the perception of space and time. Several times I was absolutely sure I was moving in a straight line, but always returned to the same place I started from. It's as if the geography of these places is subject to some laws that are incomprehensible to European minds." Modern geologists explain many of these phenomena by the unique mineral composition of local rocks, rich in iron and rare earth elements, creating local magnetic anomalies. But can this explain all the peculiarities of the Burra Range? For example, why are there strange crystalline formations in some caves of this region whose structure does not correspond to any known mineral? Or why do radiocarbon dating of some rock paintings give contradictory results, as if they existed and did not exist at the same time? In recent years, researchers of paranormal phenomena have proposed the hypothesis that the Burra Range could be one of the so-called thin places areas of the Earth's surface, where the boundary between different dimensions or realities becomes permeable. According to this theory, Yowies might not just be an unknown species of hominids, but creatures from a parallel dimension capable of moving between worlds. This could explain their elusiveness and the ability to suddenly appear and disappear without leaving traces. Of course, academic science rejects such speculations, but even the most skeptical researchers admit that the Burra Range remains one of the most mysterious and least studied regions of Australia. Perhaps the answers to these questions lie in the ancient knowledge of the Aborigines, much of which was lost after European colonization. Or maybe the mysteries of the Burra Range and its enigmatic inhabitants will remain unsolved, reminding us of how little we know about the ancient history of this mysterious land, and how much more there is to discover behind the veil of everyday reality. And while scientists debate the nature of these phenomena, the misty peaks of the Blue Mountains continue to keep their secrets, and local residents continue to avoid certain paths after sunset, when, according to their beliefs, ancient spirits and mysterious Yowies go on their eternal watch. Leaving the mysterious Australia with its ancient secrets behind, our journey in the footsteps of forgotten civilizations takes us across the boundless expanses of the Pacific Ocean to one of the most isolated places on Earth, the enigmatic Easter Island. Here, on a tiny speck of land lost in the endless blue of the ocean, more than 2,000 kilometers from the nearest inhabited land, we encounter one of the most captivating mysteries of the ancient world, the silent stone sentinels known as Moi. Imagine hundreds of massive stone figures, some reaching up to 10 meters in height and weighing more than 80 tons, with stern, impassive faces turned towards the depths of the island, as if guarding some ancient secret. Their empty eye sockets, once adorned with coral and obsidian, seem to still observe anyone who dares to disturb their thousand-year solitude. Each step on this land evokes a strange, almost mystical presence, as if invisible threads connect the present with the long-gone past, and the air is filled with the whispers of ancient legends and forgotten rituals. How could the ancient Rapa Nui, without metal tools, wheels, or draft animals, create these colossal monuments? How did they manage to transport multi-ton statues over tens of kilometers from the quarry of Rano-Raraku to the coast and install them on massive stone platforms known as ahu? Traditional archaeology offers a rational explanation. Moai were carved in the quarry using stone tools, then transported using wooden sleds or rollers, and raised onto platforms using ramps and levers. Experiments showed that moving a statue required about 100 people, who could move it at a speed of about 1 kilometer per day. but local legends tell a different story. According to ancient Rapa Nui traditions, Moai did not move. They walked themselves. Mana, a mystical spiritual force filling these stone bodies, allowed them to move at the will of priests, who directed them using special rituals and incantations. Elders of the island still whisper about hearing heavy footsteps of Moai returning to their original places on moonless nights. The purpose of these stone giants is also shrouded in mystery. For a long time, it was believed that Moai were images of deified ancestors, acting as intermediaries between the world of the living and the world of spirits. However, recent research has revealed a new aspect of this enigma. Many statues were partially buried in the ground, and their full bodies were covered with mysterious symbols and petroglyphs, the meaning of which is still not fully deciphered. Some of these signs resemble ancient Rongorongo script, the only writing system of Oceania that remains unread. What did the ancient masters try to convey to us through these stone messages? Perhaps the key to the solution lies in the strange cult of the Birdman, which replaced the worship of Moai around the 17th century. This cult was associated with annual competitions in which representatives of various clans had to obtain the first egg of the dangerous island Motu Nui. The winner became the embodiment of the deity Make, and received a special status for a year. The ceremonial village of Orongo, located on the edge of the volcanic crater Rano Kau, is covered with hundreds of petroglyphs depicting the Birdman, a half-human, half-bird creature with a hooked beak and a human body. The connection between this cult and the more ancient worship of Moai remains one of the most intriguing mysteries of the island. Even more mysterious is the sudden decline of the Rapa Nui civilization. By the time the first Europeans arrived in 1722, the island was a sad sight. Deforested, with a small population, and embroiled in interclan wars. Many Moai were intentionally toppled, their eyes removed, and the sacred platforms desecrated. What happened to the once thriving culture capable of creating such monumental works of art? The traditional theory of ecological catastrophe suggests that the Rapa Nui themselves destroyed their natural resources, cutting down all trees for transporting Moai and building canoes. This led to soil erosion, famine, and ultimately social collapse and wars. But what if the cause was different? Some researchers point to strange parallels between the symbolism of Easter Island and ancient cultures of South America. Statues with elongated ears, platforms resembling Inca structures, and even the name of the island, Rapa Nui, have linguistic connections with Peruvian dialects. Could the island have been a colony or a sacred place for some unknown South American civilization? Or, as suggested by the famous explorer Thor Heyerdahl, could the Rapa Nui themselves have come from South America, bringing with them knowledge of monumental construction? Or, as local legends whisper, could the true cause of the decline be the loss of mana, that mystical force that allowed Moai to move and protect the island? According to these legends, when the Rapa Nui violated ancient taboos and desecrated sacred rituals, the angry spirits of the ancestors turned away from them, taking their protection and blessing. And to this day, many local residents avoid approaching some Moai after sunset, believing that in this time the stone giants can turn their heads or even take a step, observing those who disturb the peace of their eternal vigil. Easter Island continues to keep its secrets, much like its stone sentinels, silently gazing at us through the layers of time. And while scientists continue to debate the origin and purpose of Moai, these enigmatic monuments remain silent witnesses to a civilization that has long since disappeared, taking with it the keys to its most sacred mysteries. Even among the multitude of mysteries of Easter Island, a special place is occupied by the quarry of Rano Raraku, a place where time seems to have stopped in an instant, frozen in eternity, like the very stone giants themselves. Imagine a volcanic slope covered with hundreds of figures at various stages of creation, from barely sketched outlines to almost completed statues, ready to be transported to their pedestals. Here, in this ancient open-air workshop, it seems as if the masters have only temporarily put down their stone tools and will soon return to resume their interrupted work. But they never did. Rano Raraku is a frozen moment in history, a mysterious pause in the annals of an ancient civilization. More than 400 moai of different sizes and degrees of completion literally grow out of the slopes of the volcano, as if trying to escape from their stone prison. Some of them are barely visible through the rock. Others have recognizable features but remain attached to the rock by a thin stone bridge, while others are completely carved and await only transportation to the coast. What could have caused an entire civilization to suddenly cease its sacred activity? What catastrophe or event could have been so significant that the masters left their tools and never returned to the unfinished creations? Traditional archaeology offers a rational explanation: depletion of resources and the subsequent social collapse. When the last trees were cut down, the transportation of new statues became impossible, and work in the quarry ceased. But is it really that simple? A detailed study of the unfinished moai reveals an even deeper mystery. Many of them are significantly larger than those installed on the coast. The largest unfinished statue, known as El Gigante, is 21 meters long and weighs around 270 tons, almost 3 times more than any successfully transported and installed moai. Why create statues that were clearly impossible to transport with the available technology? Perhaps the Rapa Nui were developing new transportation methods that were never realized? Or were these giant figures never intended for transportation and were meant to remain in the quarry as part of some unknown ritual? Local legends offer a completely different explanation for the sudden cessation of work. According to ancient legends passed down through generations, a serious conflict broke out between clans over the distribution of resources. In the midst of this struggle, a woman from the clan controlling the quarry uttered a terrible curse, calling down the wrath of the gods on all the creators of moai. The next day, an unprecedented storm struck, accompanied by earthquakes and strange lights in the sky. The frightened masters took this as a sign of divine anger and vowed never to carve stone likenesses again. Another, even more mystical version says that the moai themselves refused to leave their place of birth. According to this legend, the spirits of the ancestors, embodied in stone, foretold the island's decline and decided to remain in Rano Raraku to preserve their mana sacred power until better times. A special mystery is presented by the moai that were completely finished but remained in the quarry, partially or fully buried in the ground. For a long time, archaeologists believed that the visible heads were the whole statues. However, excavations revealed an astonishing truth. What we took for heads were only the upper parts of full-fledged figures with torsos, often covered with mysterious symbols and petroglyphs. These buried moai give the impression that they were intentionally planted in the ground, like seeds of some mystical harvest. What is even more astonishing is that many of these buried statues have a completely different style of execution. More detailed facial features, different proportions, and even elements of clothing or jewelry carved on the stone. Could they belong to an earlier epoch of moai creation, about which we know almost nothing? Or perhaps they are the work of a rival school of masters, whose works were intentionally hidden from view? Rano Raraku also holds other, less well-known, but no less intriguing mysteries. Near the quarry, archaeologists discovered strange stone spheres of almost perfect form. Their purpose remains unknown, although some researchers suggest that they could have been used as tools for polishing statues, or had some ritual significance. Similar spherical artifacts are found in other parts of the world, from the mysterious stone balls of Costa Rica to the spheres of ancient European cultures. Is this a coincidence or evidence of some lost connections between civilizations separated by oceans? Visiting Rano Raraku leaves a strange, almost surreal impression. When the morning mist envelops the slopes of the volcano and the first rays of the sun pierce the milky veil, the stone likenesses emerging from the ground create the feeling of being in some other dimension, where the boundaries between past and present, living and non-living become blurred and uncertain. Local guides tell stories of how on certain nights, when the full moon rises over the horizon, the shadows of the unfinished moai move in a strange way, as if the figures are trying to complete their creation on their own, without human hands. And although modern science continues to seek rational explanations for the mysteries of Rano Raraku, this place remains one of the most enigmatic testimonies to the sudden interruption of the history of an ancient civilization, frozen between past glory and inexplicable oblivion. What really happened on that fateful day when the last master put down his stone tool and left the sacred workshop? This question continues to echo from the silent faces of the moai, drawing us deeper into the labyrinth of Easter Island's mysteries. Transitioning from the quarry of Rano Raraku, we enter the enigmatic world of Orongo, a ceremonial village situated on the edge of Rano Ka volcano. This place, imbued with the spirit of ancient rituals and mystical ceremonies, becomes the stage for a unique birdman cult that left its mark on the history of Easter Island. Orongo, like nature itself, frames its sanctuaries with rocky cliffs and majestic landscapes, offering breathtaking views of the ocean and nearby islands. But what secrets does this mysterious place hold? For centuries, intriguing competitions were held here, where the island's best warriors fought for the right to become the Birdman, the bearer of power and authority. This cult may have been more than just a sporting event. It could have been a ritual that connected people with the spirit world, turning their gaze to the heavens. The rocks of Orongo preserve petroglyphs that tell of the past. These ancient carvings, chiseled by the hands of the Rapa Nui, depict not only scenes of competitions, but also sacred birds, which, according to legends, possessed special powers. It is remarkable how much symbolism is contained in these stone drawings. Each line, each curve, seems to breathe history, and it becomes clear that these images were not just art. They were a language spoken by ancestors to leave their thoughts and feelings for posterity. What was the significance of the competitions for the title of Birdman? Legends say that the winner not only gained fame and respect, but also became a link between the living and the dead, a bearer of ancestral power, capable of summoning rain and predicting destinies. But how could a human become a bird? Some believe it was a symbolic ritual that was meant to elevate the human soul to the heavens. Others think it was a real competition, where bravery and agility determined the fate of an entire nation. Each story hides mysteries that defy simple explanation. But there's more. Orongo hides other secrets that evoke genuine interest. For instance, there are numerous petroglyphs depicting unusual figures with long beaks and wings, which may have been symbols of some divine entity. Could they have been images of those very birds that inspired the Rapa Nui to create the Birdman cult? Or were they visions of ancient shamans seeking answers to life and death? The enigmatic rituals connected with the Birdman are inextricably linked to local legends about feathered gods who supposedly descended from the heavens to teach people the secrets of life. How could it be that these gods, possessing such great power, abandoned their followers? Perhaps they left their mark in myths that were passed down through generations, but no resident of the island could see them. Orongo is not just a historical site. It is a true portal to the world of ancient mysteries and riddles. Each step along its stone paths fills the air with a sense of anticipation. What awaits us around the corner? What other legends are hidden behind these ancient walls? We can only speculate about the lives of the people who once filled this village with their breath. But one thing is certain. Orongo remains an unsolved enigma where the worlds of reality and myths intersect. What were the origins of the Birdman cult? What secrets does this sanctuary on the edge of the volcano hold? Perhaps they will one day be revealed to those who are willing to seek answers and explore the unknown. With the transition from the riddles of Orongo, we now turn to another mystery hidden from the eyes of the modern world. Nan Madol, the mystical city of spirits, which rises on artificial islands in the heart of Micronesia. This unique complex, consisting of more than 80 small islands connected by canals, is surrounded by tranquil waters that seem to have preserved many secrets, waiting for their time. Nan Madol, like a forgotten world, immerses us in the atmosphere of ancient myths and legends, where stone walls whisper of bygone eras and unfulfilled destinies. The construction of this city remains one of the greatest mysteries of archaeology. How could it be that more than 1,000 years ago, the ancient Rapas, using only primitive tools, created such massive structures from basalt blocks, perfectly fitted together? These walls, many of which reach a height of more than 6 meters, seem to guard the secrets of vanished civilizations. Legends say that Nan Madol was built with the help of magic and the power of spirits, who, according to the tales, dwelt here. Perhaps these spirits aided the ancient builders, guiding their hands and filling their hearts with inspiration necessary for creating this grand architectural marvel. But who were these divine beings? Some local residents claim that they were ancestors who came from another world to leave a legacy that would awe future generations. But how could such a great city disappear? Are there any evidence that the inhabitants of Nan Madol were destroyed or left their homes? Researchers cannot agree on a single answer. Some suggest that changes in climate and the rise in sea level caused the flooding of these islands, while others believe that internal conflicts and wars led to the decline of this extraordinary civilization. Nan Madol is not just a city. It is a place where time seems to have stopped. Each path between the ruins, each stone breathes an atmosphere of mystery and oblivion. As we wander through this lost world, we can feel the cold wind that brings with it the whisper of spirits residing among the stone walls. But what was the true fate of this place? Are there still forgotten secrets waiting to be discovered? Diving into the legends, we may encounter stories of great priests and magical rituals performed here to appease the spirits and ensure the prosperity of the people. However, despite all research and speculations, Nan Madol remains an unsolved enigma that evokes both awe and fear. How could such a magnificent city disappear into the annals of history? And what happened to its inhabitants? Perhaps every resident of this island knows more than they are willing to say. We cannot know what other secrets are hidden beneath the water and in the shadows of these great ruins. While one generation of researchers leaves their mark on these sacred lands, another continues to seek answers in legends that may never be revealed. Nan Madol is not just ruins. It is a living memory of what once existed, and perhaps still exists, somewhere in the depths of history, waiting for its time to be rediscovered. What were the true causes of the disappearance of this civilization? And are there other places like Nan Madol hiding their secrets from our view? This is not the end of the mystery that surrounds us. As we travel through Oceania, we encounter another enigmatic phenomenon: the basalt columns that rise above the earth like the remnants of ancient giants left on the planet. These awe-inspiring natural formations, scattered across various islands, inspire both admiration and awe in all who choose to witness their grandeur. Walls of perfectly fitted basalt blocks, resembling giant pipes, stretch towards the sky, emphasizing the majestic yet mysterious character of this region. How could such smooth and regular shapes have formed? Perhaps it is the work of nature itself, but local legends tell us of giants and gods who, according to the tales, could create such structures using the power of the earth and magic. In the myths of Oceania, stories of powerful beings who left their marks in these columns are common, reminding us of the times when the earth was inhabited by extraordinary creatures capable of extraordinary feats. For example, on Easter Island, there are massive statues of Moai that, according to some researchers, could have been created using the same principles as these basalt formations. How could such massive blocks, weighing several tons, have been moved and placed in such remote locations? Some theories suggest that the local inhabitants possessed special knowledge of physics and mechanics that allowed them to create such wonders. But perhaps, in reality, they received help from powerful beings about whom legends are told. The echoes of their voices reach us through the centuries, making us ponder what we know about our past and what might have really happened in those distant times. However, despite all the speculations and research, the truth remains elusive. How could such gigantic structures remain unexplained? Some believe they are simply the work of nature, while others insist that ancient civilizations stand behind them, whose achievements have been lost over time. And indeed, how could these cultures have disappeared, leaving behind only traces in the form of basalt columns? Historians assert that we can only guess at the reasons for their fall, but perhaps this is yet another of the mysteries waiting to be revealed. From Nanu Madal, we move on to other islands where basalt columns continue to captivate the imagination. For example, in Hawaii, we encounter volcanic formations that remind us of ancient battles between gods and human sacrifices. Local legends tell of how gods descended from the heavens and left their marks, which we can still observe today. But what were the true motives of these gods? Why did they leave such signs on the earth? Each of these places promises new discoveries and immersion in the atmosphere of ancient myths. We can only guess what else lies hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be revealed. Basalt columns, these majestic witnesses of time, continue to stir the minds of researchers and ordinary people, making them wonder how many more mysteries might still exist in the world. How could such gigantic structures remain unexplained? And are there other places that hide their secrets from our view? Cyclopean stone walls, like colossal shields, continue to amaze and intrigue, protecting ancient lands. Across various islands in Oceania, we find monumental structures built from massive blocks, each weighing several tons. These walls, meticulously cut and fitted together, inspire awe and bewilderment. How could such heavy stones be moved and placed without modern technology? Legends of the local inhabitants plunge us into a world of superhuman strength, telling of giants who, according to lore, were the builders of these magnificent structures. Myths speak of their strength used to create such monumental buildings, which continue to evoke awe in those who see them. On the island of Maracaibo, for instance, one can find walls that seem to have been built with divine intervention. Local residents claim that gods descended from the heavens, possessing incredible strength, to assist in the construction of these grand structures. But what if, in reality, it was not gods, but ancient civilizations with knowledge we have lost? Some researchers suggest that such constructions could be the result of a complex system of knowledge in mechanics and architecture that predated our era. Yet, no matter how we try to explain this phenomenon, the question remains: how could such perfection be achieved without the aid of advanced technologies? Traveling to other islands, we encounter these mysterious constructions again. On Pitcairn Island, for example, stands a wall built from perfectly fitted stones, as if created to withstand time. But what civilization could possess such skills? Some researchers believe these structures served not only as protection, but also as sacred places where rituals were performed, about which we can only speculate. But if this is true, what secrets lie hidden behind these sacred rituals? Each of these walls holds many mysteries, and each can tell its own story. How could these builders, with only primitive tools, create such massive and complex structures? Answers to these questions remain unanswered, and each new discovery only fuels the interest of researchers. Perhaps we will never know everything about those who built these Cyclopean walls, but one thing is certain: their mystery continues to stir the minds and inspire the search for answers. But this is not the only mystery that surrounds us. Moving from walls to other architectural wonders, we may ask, what other secrets lie hidden beneath the earth? Perhaps among the lost islands of Oceania, there are places waiting to be discovered. One day, we may stumble upon evidence of civilizations of which we are not even aware. How many more secrets does this majestic land hold, and what answers await us in the future? Sunken cities and ruins are not just myths, but real mysteries hidden beneath the ocean's surface. The vast waters of Oceania, with their turquoise waters and coral reefs, harbor remnants of ancient civilizations about which we know only fragmentary details. Local residents tell tales of submerged lands, where entire nations once thrived. These stories are filled with mysteries and unanswered questions. How could such a developed culture disappear, leaving only shadows on the ocean floor? In places like the Tuamotu archipelago, researchers find underwater structures that they believe may be remnants of ancient constructions. Massive stone blocks, seemingly carved from giant rocks, lie on the ocean floor, surrounded by coral reefs. How did they get there? Some scientists claim that these underwater discoveries could be evidence of sunken cities that are not mentioned in historical records. Legends of lost worlds, such as the mythical land of Mu, spark genuine interest and make us ponder what other secrets might be hidden beneath the waves. How could such a complex society vanish without a trace? Perhaps it was due to catastrophic events like earthquakes or tsunamis that swallowed entire cities, leaving only myths and legends for posterity. But what if these catastrophes were the result of something even more mysterious, such as the intervention of higher powers or even extraterrestrials? Underwater archaeologists exploring these areas encounter enigmatic artifacts that seem out of place in the context of known civilizations. Strange symbols and signs carved on stones sometimes resemble ancient scripts that no one can decipher. Who left these messages? What do they mean? Some researchers suggest that these signs could be part of ancient prophecies or maps pointing to something significant. But, like many other mysteries, these hypotheses remain just that, hypotheses requiring further investigation. Legends of submerged civilizations are not confined to a single region. On many islands, we find references to great nations that once ruled these waters. Myths of sunken cities, such as Atlantis, continue to inspire adventurers and researchers. But what is the true nature of these tales? Are they merely the product of imagination, or do they contain a truth that we are not yet ready to understand? Exploring these submerged lands brings us to a new level of mystery. Each discovery can be a key to unraveling ancient enigmas, but all of them lead to the same question. What happened to these civilizations? How could they disappear, leaving only silence on the ocean floor? The answers to these questions remain unknown, and each new day brings new discoveries that raise even more questions. Perhaps in the future, we will be able to solve some of these riddles, but for now, they remain a mystery, waiting for their time. How many more underwater wonders are hidden in the depths of the ocean? How many more secrets await us in this majestic watery realm? Sacred forests of Australia and Oceania are not just forests, but living sanctuaries filled with mysteries and ancient secrets, where, as local residents believe, ancestral spirits dwell. Imagine trees with enormous trunks, covered in moss and whispering in the wind, as if sharing their stories. How did these places become centers of spiritual life? Legends say that it is here that the worlds of the living and the dead intersect, and each tree is not just a plant, but a guardian of ancient wisdom. What influence do these sacred trees have on the surrounding nature and people? Their unique properties, such as the ability to produce essential oils with healing properties, have given rise to many myths about their magical powers. Local tribes, such as the Aboriginals of Australia, consider these forests sacred, and their rituals often take place among these trees, where ancestral spirits grant strength and knowledge. But where do these legends come from? How do they resonate with our modern views of nature and spirituality? As we study these sacred forests, we find that many of them also serve as homes for unique ecosystems where rare animals and plants live. These are not just places of worship, but living laboratories where each element plays its role in maintaining harmony. For example, some trees have properties that allow them to filter water, making them critically important for the survival of local flora and fauna. Remarkably, scientists are just beginning to realize how many secrets these forests hold, and how their study can help us understand ecosystems as a whole. But these are not the only mysteries that inhabit these sacred forests. Legends say that in some places, one can hear the whispers of ancestors if one listens and closes one's eyes. How can these sounds be explained? Are they the wind playing with the leaves? Or are they indeed spirits trying to convey their messages? Some researchers believe that these sounds may be related to the resonance of trees, which emit certain frequencies when interacting with their environment. Others suggest that they are simply the product of human imagination, seeking a connection to something greater. Each tree in the sacred forest has its own story, and each of them is full of mysteries and unspoken words. How can it be explained that some of them, according to legends, can speak to those who know how to listen? Perhaps it is the gift of sincerity and openness to the spiritual world, which has been lost in modern society. But how can we regain this understanding? How can we restore our connection to nature and its spirits? The study of these sacred places opens up new horizons and raises many questions. We can only guess what wisdom these forests hold and how they can help us in our search for meaning and understanding of our place in the world. How many more secrets does nature hold, waiting to be discovered? With each new discovery, with each new finding, we come closer to understanding that there is something greater than just the physical reality in which we live. And perhaps it is in these sacred forests, among their mysterious trees and the whispering wind, that the keys to ancient secrets lie, waiting to be revealed. What is the true nature of the spirits that inhabit these forests? What role do they play in human life? And can we once again learn to hear their voices? But these are not the only mysteries hidden in the sacred forests of Australia. Let us delve into the fascinating world of the enigmatic mushrooms of sandstone, petrified creatures that are believed to be direct witnesses to the ancient myths and legends of the Aborigines. These strange forms rising from the earth resemble mysterious mushrooms, but in reality, they are the result of centuries of erosion, giving them peculiar shapes. How did they come to be? According to legends, these mushrooms were once living beings that became victims of mythical events. One tale speaks of a great people living in harmony with nature until the time of trials came. The ruler of the heavens, angered by their pride and forgetfulness of their roots, turned them into stone so that they would remain in this world forever, yet retaining their form. Other myths tell of how nature spirits, seeking to protect their lands, transformed people into stone forms so that they could never harm the environment again. How do these legends resonate with what we see today? These petrified mushrooms not only captivate with their form, but also raise many questions. Why do they have such strange shapes? Is this a result of random natural processes, or is it hidden symbolism left by ancient civilizations? Some researchers believe that these structures could have been created using ancient technologies of which we are still unaware. Their size and form inspire awe. Enormous stone mushrooms that seem to guard their secrets, appearing as if they could come to life at any moment. Local tribes believe that these creatures can hold the memory of their ancestors and their spirits, creating a special atmosphere of holiness and respect. But how can we explain why these mushrooms continue to attract and inspire people? Perhaps it is because they represent something more than just geological formations. Each one is a symbol of ancient history that, despite millennia, continues to influence our lives. These stone forms serve as reminders that nature and culture are inseparable, and that even the most peculiar phenomena can be part of a larger picture. The question arises, how can we learn from these myths and petrified forms? What is their connection to the contemporary environmental problems that our world faces? Perhaps it is through understanding these ancient stories that we can find answers to many of the questions that concern us today. Perhaps these mushrooms are not just stone formations, but symbols of our connection to nature and the need to protect it. But no matter how hard we try to unravel these mysteries, one thing remains constant. The secrets hidden in these petrified creatures await the day when they can be understood. We can only guess at the wisdom they hold and what they can tell us about our past and future. How many more such mysteries lie hidden in the depths of the earth, waiting to be discovered by those who dare to seek them? Resonating stones. Music of the ancient earth. We once again immerse ourselves in the mysterious world of Australia, where nature itself becomes a witness to ancient legends and myths. On this continent, amidst the greenery and vast deserts, there exist extraordinary stones that can produce melodious sounds when struck. Imagine standing among these majestic, strange stones and suddenly hearing them sing. How is this possible? What lies behind this phenomenon? According to ancient lore, these resonating stones are not merely geological formations, but dwellings of nature spirits. The local Aborigines believe that each stone is not only a mineral, but also a guardian of ancient wisdom, carrying within it the sounds of ancestors. Legends tell of how, in times long past, earth spirits gathered to create unique stones that could speak to humans. These sounds are nothing more than the whispers of ancestors, directed towards the living. They sound like a melody that carries us back to distant times when the world was filled with magic and mysteries. But how can we explain that these stones actually produce sounds? Scientific research shows that certain types of rock, such as quartzite, can generate sounds due to their structure and shape. When struck, they create a resonating effect, resulting in melodious sounds. However, for many people, this explanation is not sufficient. How can geology explain the mystical connection between humans and nature? How can science encompass the magic hidden in these sounds? Some researchers suggest that these stones could have been used in ancient times to create musical instruments or rituals. They could have served as a means of communication with spirits, which, according to legends, dwell in every mountain and river. Tribes surrounded by the sounds of these stones believed they could summon and pacify spirits, and their music was a prayer in harmony with nature. How does this reflect our modern reality, where we are increasingly losing our connection to the world around us? But this is not the only mystery associated with the resonating stones. What are their true origins? Some researchers propose that these sounds may be linked to ancient practices of which we are not yet aware, perhaps even a lost culture that could read the language of nature. Have we left any clues about how these ancient technologies might have functioned? Will we ever be able to restore the lost knowledge connected to these resonating stones? So, we once again ask, what happens when we hear the sounds of these stones? It seems they call us to ancient truths that we have not yet deciphered. The resonating stones may not be just a natural phenomenon, but a symbol of our connection to the past. They remind us that the world around us is full of mysteries, like gold, waiting to be discovered amidst the gray, everyday life. How many more such enigmas lie hidden in the depths of the earth, waiting for us to finally pay attention to them? How many more secrets can tell us about our place in this world and our connection to nature? Geoglyphs, Australia. Mysterious signs on the face of the earth. We continue our journey into the world of mysteries and secrets, and this time we are drawn to the enigmatic geoglyphs scattered across the vast expanses of Australia. These ancient earthen mounds and drawings, visible only from above, seem to whisper to us about forgotten civilizations and their rituals. How did they appear on this land? What is their true purpose? Behold these majestic figures stretching for kilometers. Some resemble animals, others are abstract forms, and some are completely baffling to the modern eye. These signs, like secret writings left on the face of the earth, raise many questions. What did they mean to the ancient peoples who created them? Were they ritual paths along which shamans traveled during their ceremonies, or astronomical calendars marking the change of seasons? Local legends are filled with tales that these geoglyphs served as sacred places where people could communicate with ancestral spirits. It is said that on certain nights, when the sky is lit by stars, these figures begin to glow, opening gates to another world. Some researchers suggest that geoglyphs could have been connected to the movements of celestial bodies, serving as navigational signs for ancient travelers. How could these signs be so accurate without modern technology? Research shows that some of these geoglyphs were created more than 4,000 years ago, placing them in the same league as other ancient cultural landmarks around the world. However, unlike pyramids or Stonehenge, their purpose remains shrouded in mystery. How could such advanced skills have existed in such a remote and seemingly isolated region? What were the thoughts and beliefs of the people who left these enigmatic signs? Some scientists propose that geoglyphs served not only practical purposes, but were also connected to myths about the creation of the world and its structure. There are theories that they could have been part of a vast map drawn on the earth, showing the locations of sacred sources, hunting grounds, or other vital resources for survival. But how could the earth have become a canvas for such grand works of art? So many questions remain unanswered. What are the true origins of these signs? And what can they tell us about the lives and beliefs of those who lived here thousands of years ago? Some believe that this is just the beginning of the puzzle, and that behind these drawings lie deeper truths about our place in the world. Perhaps these geoglyphs are not just artifacts of the past, but keys to understanding our future, reminding us that we can still learn from nature and its ancient wisdom. How many more secrets lie hidden beneath the layers of earth, waiting to be discovered and understood? And what do they truly mean for us today? We have reached the conclusion of our exciting journey through the mysterious ancient civilizations of Australia and Oceania. These majestic and mystical places, filled with legends and enigmatic artifacts, remind us of how much of history remains hidden from our view. We have seen how ancient civilizations left their mark on this land, creating geoglyphs and monuments that continue to inspire awe and wonder. What would it be like to look into their world, understand their beliefs and customs? Each mystery we have explored seems to be a key to understanding not only their lives, but also our own. Local legends about ancestral spirits, sacred places, and rituals performed on these lands highlight the diversity of human culture and our universal interest in the past. Despite the remoteness of the region, its mysteries resonate with common questions that concern people around the world. What do we know about our roots, and how can these insights help us understand our place in the modern world? Perhaps it is these very mysteries and secrets that unite us, driving us to explore and discover even in the most remote corners of our planet. We invite you to share your impressions in the comments. Which mysteries have impressed you the most? Which secrets would you like to explore with us? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to continue your journey through the world of mysteries and secrets. For each new encounter, is another opportunity to peek into the unknown. Perhaps we will soon uncover new pages of history filled with amazing discoveries and unexplored places. How many more secrets lie hidden within the earth, waiting for their moment to be revealed and understood? And what do they truly mean for us today?